bet you're wondering why I'm dressed like this. Well, they told me this was my own special so I could dress any way I wanted to, and I could do whatever I wanted to. So tonight, I'm going to count down the top 10 Michael Martinez stories. But first, let's start with a song. I don't know how to play piano. In fact, I get very mad when I make mistakes on piano, which I don't know how to play. But there's some guys in Stanton who get mad all the time. That's number 10. If you've driven past Stanton, you've probably seen this sign, but you've probably never met their sorehead. Well, I want of them, but they aren't easy to find in this West Texas town, so I went to City Hall. Officials were on vacation. I looked above ground and underground. Any old soreheads down there? Finally, I asked Beverly North, dress shop owner and Chamber of Commerce president and for 27 years, if there are any soreheads in Stanton.
Probably 20 to 30.
Luckily, an anonymous tipster told me there was one here at this car dealership, but he was on vacation. The tipster also told me there was one here, but he refused to talk to me on camera. A little sore-headed. What do these soreheads look like?
He's looking like, the people, he's all right. He's nothing wrong.
Finally, I staked out the post office, and sure enough, a couple of soreheads showed up. How much of the town is made up by soreheads?
Oh, I wouldn't know. Do you know, Mr. Glenn?
I don't think there's many around.
I don't think there's very many. There's very few old soreheads here in Stanton.
And what do they think of the sign that boasts of soreheads?
I didn't have anything to do with that.
So next time you see this sign, remember there are a few soreheads here. You just have to stay a while to find them. Michael Martinez, Area 7, Stanton. You know, when I play music, I get lost a lot of times. And number 9 is about the time when I did get lost, looking for a town that's not on the map. Of course, it's on the map now. All it took was a phone call. Where am I? I think I'm lost. Hold on a minute. This map will tell me where I'm at. I'm looking for Forsan. Now, it should be somewhere near Big Spring. If I can get this map opened up here. Let's see. Now, it's supposed to be somewhere near Big Spring, but it's not on the map. Uh-oh. But my instincts tell me if I get back on Highway 87, I'll probably run into it. And sure enough, I found a sign leading to it along the highway, despite the fact that the town is not on the state's official travel map. Now, according to state requirements for a town to be on the map, it must have a gas station, which Forsan has, a paved road getting to it, which the town has, and a population of 10. And according to the postmaster, the town has...
Approximately 300.
Well, it fulfills all the requirements, but still off the map and has been for years. Residents here say even the mention of the town's name to people in other towns is troublesome.
I tell people I'm from Forsan, they always say, well, where's that? I've never seen that on a map, so you can laugh and tell them it is, and they think you're playing a joke on them.
And what do residents think about being left off the official map?
How would anybody find us?
Okay, it doesn't look like a metropolis, but it fits the bill to be on the state map. So, if you're ever looking for Forsan and you can't find it on the state official map, just let your instincts do it for you. Michael Martinez, Area 7, Forsan. You know, I always wondered what was back here. Well, there isn't much. And number 8 is all about a lady who bends over for a part-time job. Look at him. He's hard all where this comes. Wiseman has things. Gwen Cooper. Gwen, surfer, is a scooper. She spotted to pick. Gwen bucket of the business with newspaper, and so far attract a week. This one.
It's pretty good.
Part of the brown.
Every
Go back on, and you accidentally you talking about pulling your hair. I would. News Center. With you know, when Doug does the weather, he looks at these weather maps, but he can't tell which way the wind is blowing. And number 7 is something that blew into Fort Stockton. Now, the McBlimp made a routine stop in Fort Stockton, just one of many as it makes its way across the country from New York to Los Angeles. You see, it's going to fly over Dodger Stadium on opening day of the baseball season. People from this small West Texas town see it. But that's not all. You see, people driving along the interstate had to stop too, just to see what it was.
We thought it was a Goodyear blimp.
Well, for the fact we thought it was a Goodyear from the. Yeah, I thought the Goodyear was the only one that's the only one I'd ever heard of.
Now, that's what everybody thinks. The McBlimp, you see, didn't take to the air until last July, and much of the public doesn't know it exists. And the flight crew, they say they try to point out to people that Goodyear ain't the only one with a blimp.
Well, we don't like to mention the other company.
No association whatsoever. This is owned and operated by Airship International Limited, and our client is McDonald's.
The blimp has a crew of 19, 16 ground crew members that follow it in cars when it's in the air, and 3 pilots. One of the pilots being a woman, the only woman on the crew, who wants to one day be the first woman blimp pilot in the world.
Why? Because I love airships and I love flying.
The balloon stayed in Fort Stockton, but at daybreak, the ground crew showed up to check the rubber craft, making sure conditions were right for takeoff, warming the engines, and finally, the McBlimp was off. You know, all this activity can sure make a guy hungry. Hi, I'd like to order a blimp. No, I mean a burger.
Okay, we're serving breakfast.
Oh, it's breakfast. Michael Martinez, News Center 7.
Okay.
You know, all this work makes me kind of hungry. Victoria, I don't have much change for the machine. Do you have a dollar I can borrow?
No, not until later, Michael. Sorry.
But if I was at the state line, there'd be a bunch of dollars lying around. That's number 6. It sits right here on the state line, a bar gasoline station that sells gas and drink to anyone who stops by. And if you ever stop by, go on in and feast your eyes on some dollar bills. Bills stapled to the walls, ceilings, and doors of this place. You see, customers have been stapling bills here for the last 9 years. Kerry Simpson says it's a tradition that started when a couple of guys wanted some credit for their next beer.
They said, well, we're going to Carlsbad and drink some beer. We'll be broke when we come back.
we better just leave us $1. So they all put $1 up.
Now, there are 3,500 bills on the inside of this bar gas station, and Carrie says they're not all U.S. dollars.
Last week, a man from Berlin, Germany put up a bill right over there on the thing.
Now, if you leave $1 onto the wall, it's good for a beer, at least your next one, but you've got to find it first, and you've got to prove it's yours. But most people never come back for their beer, and for the last 9 years, the bills have been center of attention here. But for Carrie, if she had to do it all again, she says she'd do it a little different.
Next time I had a bar, I wasn't even going to have a picture in it.
For the last 37 years, Carrie has run the place, and you'd think that in all those years she'd get lonely in the small bar just north of Orla. But come to think of it, she's got a lot of political considering she has Washington and Jefferson hanging around.
They're not that much company, really.
So if you're ever looking for a cash bar, don't forget to stop by Carrie's place. Gee, that was good. I'll tell you something. A lot of times us reporters happen to run into places like this out in the middle of nowhere, and we're awfully thirsty, but we're awfully broke. So for the next reporter that happens to come out here, I think I'll leave him a $1 bill. But it's only good for a News Center 7 reporter like me. On the loose at the Texas-New Mexico state line, Michael Martinez, News Center 7, tonight. Now, I like corn chips, but it's pickle chips that made me nationally famous. That's number 5.
All right, and now, if that wasn't enough for you, now we've got the culinary delight of the season. Over in Odessa, Texas, a woman has been cooking up fried pickle chips for years. That's right, fried pickle chips. And this report comes to us from Michael Martinez of our affiliate KOSA in Odessa.
Hazel Woods is cook, cashier, and president of Big B's Burgers. But it's not just burgers and fries that she serves here. What makes her restaurant really famous is her, and get this, fried pickle chips. You heard right, coated in her secret batter recipe, the chips are deep fried. Hazel has been making the chips for 20 years. And since there was a time when fried pickle chips were common found on the Odessa drag. But that was 2 decades ago when Andrews Highway was lined with small, quick eateries like this one. But one of the only things from the past that remains in this part of Odessa is Hazel and her recipe is hers till she calls it quits.
Well, I'll give my secret then to someone when I get ready to retire.
After 30 years of being in the fast food business, Hazel says she'll continue to make the tangy treat. She says people from all over Texas come to her place to try the fried appetizer.
A lot of women like it. They said that they're going on a something and they might eat a couple of pickle chips or another like that, you know. Thank you.
It's something you crave?
Special women suspected.
So, are never down at Big B's. Continue to make her famous. And if you believe it, take it from someone who has eaten them. And now the Big try Hazel's most famous fried pickle chips. They're good! And I'm not even pregnant.
Hey, look at it this way. It could look pretty good after some turkey leftovers. We'll be right back after this.
Now, this is a tower right outside the station. It's always filled with buzzards in the summer. I hate buzzards, but they made my favorites list number 4. It's like a war. The enemy perched on the front lines, ready to bombard us with their calling cards, which they do every day, and very well. All we seem to be doing is dodging the barrage. Of course, not everyone can escape the enemy's fire.
I was just getting out of the car, and all of a sudden I feel this wet thing coming down my neck. I looked up and I saw what it was.
Now, some people say the Buzzards are marking their territory. Okay, I'll buy that, but why here? And why on our cars? No answer from, of course, but what's the answer to rid the station of them?
I think we should send them all to your house, Michael.
I'm certainly a very peace-loving person, but I think most of us that have lived underneath the Buzzards for any length of time tend to favor nuclear weapons.
And what's the official line on this war? Now, this is Doyce Elliott's office, the boss. Let's find out what he has to say about those Buzzards. Doyce Elliott right now. They gotta tell him I'm here.
Mike Martinez would like to see you.
We'll be telling you.
Oh, good deal. See, I got access everywhere. Elliott, how are you doing? Well, I just wanted to ask you a real quick question. The Buzzards are back, as you know. What are we gonna do?
I hadn't noticed it.
And what do Odessans think of the birds? Did you know that the Buzzards are back at KOSA Channel 7?
No, I didn't know that. The Buzzards? Who's the Buzzards? A rock group?
What would you suggest a way for us to get rid of those Buzzards?
You really don't want me to answer you.
I'll leave them there.
Just leave them there?
Yeah.
Why?
I'll get rid of them.
Despite the fact that they're a nuisance?
Yeah. Everybody's got to have a place to stay.
Oh, well, the Buzzards seem to be perched here for the rest of the summer, but if you'll remember, last year we got a guy to come out here with a shotgun and shoot at him. The shotgun had blanks. It didn't work too well. Then we got a technological gizmo to scare them away. But they're still back. Now, I've got an idea of how to get rid of them. Old-fashioned method. It works, I hope. Get out of here! Go away! Go home! That doesn't work too well. Well, I guess I'll just have to go on the defensive. Michael Martinez, News Center 7. You know, I kind of envy Doug and Kurt who get to jump up here and tell you the sports all day. Number 3 is about a guy who jumps a lot. Every day, this guy puts on his shoes, evens out the pit of sand at the high school track with a piece of wood, and in the sweltering heat, he takes off and leaps into the air. You see, Darnell Cameron is an accomplished broad jumper, not the greatest, mind you, but probably the most ambitious.
I jumped 27 feet in practice, but I've never done it in track meet. But right now, I'm jumping like 25.1, 25.4, and I just like about 2 more.
Now, he wants to leap 27 feet just to be in the Olympics in 1988. That's an ambitious plan for a 25-year-old college junior. His mother says he's crazy, but Darnell says...
I think I can make it.
Darnell figures that if he can hit 27 feet, he can get into a college that can provide him with some good coaching. Coaching he needs to at least make the Olympic tryouts.
With the coaching and everything, it's amazing how much the technique can help.
Now, it looks like a piece of cake jumping into a pit of sand, so I decided, what the heck, I'll give it the old college try. But I didn't have any shorts, so Darnell, being the nice guy that he is, let me borrow a pair. Now, Darnell says he can do 25 feet. I can do that. Okay, so I'm a little short. Nobody's perfect. Michael Martinez, News Center 7. And a lot of times when I do my stories, Frank here likes to be in them.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
I'm never in your story.
Just watch. Frankie, you got your ice cream on my cantaloupe.
Yeah, but you have your cantaloupe on my ice cream.
Hey, that gives me a great idea.
Row, row! No, not that way, the other way.
Look, I'm not very good at this thing. In fact, I don't think I'm even going to win this race, so I think I'll just send in my substitute. I've been telling Frank that he should take up more reading. Well, I'll do it.
Hey, Michael. Michael. Hey, this isn't funny,
On the loose
Michael.
outside these bars in Fort Davis. Michael Martinez, News Center 7 tonight. Now that was good, but it made me thirsty. You know, in fact, that reminds me of the water series I did on which West Texas town had the best water. But the best part of that series was where I tabulated the results. What better way than to do it in an official's office? Excuse me, could you leave, please? I've got some official business here.
Whatever you say, Michael.
They want everything. That's the station's president and general manager. He won't mind. I had to tabulate the results. I can't do this. It's too noisy around here. Nah, it's too cluttered. Nah, too big. Now here's a nice quiet place, a place where someone can work. This is where Roscoe, our artist, works. I met a couple of guys from Dallas who made it big in the art world, and they're from Odessa. They're number 2. Believe it or not, these 2 guys are famous. That's right, they're famous, even though you may not know them.
I don't know about that. People who collect stamps may know about us.
That's because Odessa twins Ron and Donna Dare have designed 6 postage stamps between them, the first set of brothers in history to ever do so. But it's Donna Dare that has gotten all the publicity lately. You see, he designed the Texas Sesquicentennial stamp.
To have had a part in something historical and something that would commemorate 150 years means a lot to me. They asked both of us to submit designs on the Texas stamp, and deep down I wanted to see Don get the stamp. So from my viewpoint, I couldn't be happier that he got the design.
The 2 brothers are commercial artists, and they designed several versions of the stamp, but the Postal Service ended up liking Don's the best. However, they wanted a small change.
I submitted, first of all, a stamp with a spur on it, and they liked it, but they said, let's make it a historical spur. The one that I put on there originally was a generic, common, everyday type of spur, but I found out through them that the Dallas Historical Society had in its possession the actual spurs that General Santa Anna handed over to Sam Houston after the Battle of San Jacinto. And so I was able to acquire photographs of that, and that was a spur that I used on the stamp. And
now, Don's brother Ron is the one with the commemorative stamp experience. You see, he's designed 5 of them, but Don is proud of his very first. In fact, he has a larger-than-life version of the Sesquicentennial stamp on the wall. But what about the actual stamp? Well, he's got one of those, even though he had to go out and buy it himself.
I wish they would give us lifetime franking privileges for designing stamps, but they don't.
Now, you've heard the saying of people laughing all the way to the bank. Well, for Don Adair, he just smiles all the way to the post office.
Well, it's kind of fun to be able to just lick a stamp and put it on the envelope and send it on its way, and knowing it was your design.
So next time you get a hold of one of these stamps, you'll have to figure out which famous Adair brother designed it. You see, they're too small to sign. You know, if these 2 guys can become famous just by designing a stamp for the Sesquicentennial, I think maybe I can do the same for the 200th birthday. Look at this. What do you know about modern art, critics? Michael Martinez, News Center 7. And now comes the one you've all been waiting for, the number 1, the numero uno, the number 1 story. But, you know, all of a sudden I get an urge to play golf. I wish I had a golf club. Thanks. Now all I need is a golf ball. Thanks. Now this is what you'll see right outside the small West Texas town of Marfa, and it looks just like any golf course, anywhere. But it's not. You see, it's the highest golf course in the state.
It's 4882 at number 1 tee box.
Does that mean something? Is it
4,882 feet above sea level.
Golf course had its beginnings back in 1960 when a bunch of guys in Marfa decided they wanted a golf course they could call their own. So 2 years and $10,000 later, they built this one. But having it built on such high ground was not in the plans.
It just happened.
And now, more than 20 years later, this golf course is dear to those that golf here. You see, they say it helps their game.
Oh, yes, on like number 7 over here. I was about 150 yards out. You know, I think I was going to lose the game, and I went in the hole for an eagle.
It makes a difference on how far the ball goes.
It's so high that the ball rolls farther than most golf courses.
Now, the big question is how? How can a golf course out here in the middle of West Texas be responsible for the improved game of those that play here? Well, it's all scientific.
The higher the altitude, the thinner the air and the less humidity. The ball travel a little further, but it's not that much of an advantage.
But no one is willing to swear to this explanation.
That's incredible.
Well, I couldn't swear to that.
Oh, well, I decided to give this long ball stuff a try. Now, bear in mind that golfing is to me what is to Dick Butkus. But when I whacked that ball, it took off. Gee, I guess the air is thin up there. On the loose in Marfa, and a little bit in Odessa, Michael Martinez, News Center 7. And there you have it. That's it. My top 10 favorite stories. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I hope you had a good time. And maybe next time I have one of these specials, I'll wear red. Good night. That ought to keep him away. Hey, so I think I'll just send in my substitute. On the loose, down the Pecos River, Michael Martinez, News Center 7, tonight.
That's a mess.